Aloha. This is Anna Covert, broadcasting to you from my battle station here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Code, the topic is the future of clean water. And I'm pleased to introduce Jeff Szur, the Chief Operating Officer of Altitude Water. I first had the opportunity to meet Jeff at a recent Renewable conference in Oahu and was blown away by his revolutionary technology, passion for renewable energy, and his commitment to providing clean water solutions in the face of adversity, as well as his impressive list of nonprofits that he works with worldwide. Thank you for being here with us today, Jeff. To get the party started, can you tell us a little bit about what atmospheric water generation is?
Sure, absolutely. I will start with that. But number one, I want to say an aloha to you as well. It's good to see you again, and just so impressive everything with your book and everything that's happened with Forbes and being one of the featured of the International Women's Day. I thought that was awesome, and it was your passion and everything that with renewable energy that really struck me, and I'm glad we're able to sit down and talk. So let me talk about water then. Our atmospheric water generators make pure drinking water from the humidity in the air. And the important thing is 99, as you and I were talking, 99% of our water comes from groundwater, right? From ground sources, whether it's lakes, aquifers, rivers, and the aquifers in Hawaii is very important. It's just like everything being on that island is such an ecological mix, right? You have to make sure you're not draining something too much, because then all of a sudden you get saltwater intrusion. Nature abhors a vacuum. So what makes our products so unique is that we're tapping into the atmosphere. So the U.S. Geological Society says that there's 3.8 quadrillion gallons of water in the atmosphere. I like to say that's the one number that's higher than our national debt in Times Square. But there's a lot of water in our atmosphere, and especially, your beautiful island. I get up and walk in the morning, you just see the mist over the mountains. So that mist we can turn into the purest water, because even though that mist is coming from the ocean, when water goes from a liquid form to a gas form, nothing adheres to it. So the salt's left behind. You have this mist, and then we put it from a gas form to a liquid form. It's how you distill water. None of the chemicals. So we're starting, what I like to say is, with all those filters they're trying to take out of the groundwater is never in our water.
Wow. That's so exciting. So what markets do you currently serve, and what do you think is the greatest potential in the future for penetration?
Well, I really believe, obviously anyone that wants to secure their water source. I mean, water has been, it's written a story for us in the news. I mean, 10 years ago, I used to warn people and say that there are microplastics in bottled water. And everyone said, oh, you're a fear monger, you're trying to sell your... Well, now, just this month, Cornell, Rutgers University, NIH, all came out with studies. And I keep preaching it, and I say, well, I don't have to be a rocket scientist. When I'm going out, I can buy a case of water and I can put it out in the sun for a week, sealed. No one touches the seal, and the TDS is going to go from 150 to 350. Well, I'm not that smart to know, but I know that the only thing that's touching the water is plastic, because it's sealed. So the home, the people that are buying plastic bottles and carrying them, and the carbon footprint of what it takes to deliver that case of water in truckloads to the store, sitting out there, warehouse. Now you have to pick it up, bring it home in your car, when you can just take one of our machines and put it on your lovely balcony, and you're making 7 to 12 gallons of pure drinking water a day. You could share it with your neighbors. You could be the pure water, hero of the condos or of the area. But so that's important. But what really excites us is the disaster relief and the humanitarian, because when you go to Africa, and we were working with Jean-Philippe Gotcha Foundation, a wonderful foundation in Cameroon that has been operating for 25 years, put so many programs together to help so many villages. And one of the kids looked at us and said, are you going to be like the German company who drilled a well and then the stuff didn't work and left it, and now we just have a hole in the ground? This is a kid whose 15-year-old brother died of a water related disease, and so something like that, when you can effectuate change, and again, I keep saying there's two different types of charity, right? There's just regular charity. You could be share and donate $1 million of bottled water to Flint, Michigan. The bottom line is, in a week, that water's gone. You've left an ecological nightmare of $1 million worth of plastic bottles. But she gets in the news. She now goes on her tour, and gets more tickets sold because, and again, in that immediate need, I'm not saying that she shouldn't have done that, but if you want to effectuate change, and one of the things in working with World Vision and footprintproject.org and Mind Army, if you want to effectuate change, if you have a theory of change, you can't just fill the physical. You have to fill the spiritual and the mental, and give them skills, help them with electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all the things, alternate energy, how our machines hook up to solar. I mean, Hawaii in this recovery could really be the poster child for what should be done when a disaster happens, because 92% of your PVs are hooked up to battery storage. You guys get it. So you really should be the poster child. We really should be working together in that area to provide water, communication, and programs to train the next generation. That's the stuff that excites me. Everyone should have it. People should go on my website and buy it. But that doesn't effectuate change. I love that we can work together to do this. I know I talk a lot and get excited. So,
well, how long does a machine? What's the lifespan of a machine? We talk in solar about 25 years at least, 30 years hopefully with best technology. What is the shelf life of your machine?
Michelle, well, we've proven. I mean, we have machines that we manufactured 14 years ago. Broward Bolt, who's one of our suppliers, our first run 14 years ago, still has our atmospheric water generator working. Amy Grant's had. So it's basically it's not rocket science. We have compressors. It's the life of the compressor, which will be, anywhere between 13 and 15, 16 years. Now, you will need, just like solar, there are certain things that have a certain life that are easy to replace. You're going to need to replace pumps. Every 3 years, it's just because we can't buy a pump that lasts 10 years. They're just not available. So you could only put so many gallons through a pump. So usually the pumps are about 3 years. It's $100 to change it out. So it's, but the life of our machines have been operating for 15 years. So, for an example, if in a disaster relief, if you ship one of our machines once, okay, it's 650 pounds. Okay, that's 75 gallons of bottled water that you can ship. You have to ship that every day. My machine's making 100 gallons every day without any of the shipping. So the math really works, and I think that education, again, it's like the microwave oven. Everyone was afraid, oh no, I'm radioactive. Sony did a great job. It's education, making it smaller, making it more affordable, and that's where we're at now after doing this for 14 years.
That's really exciting. And so that compressor, that's that O2. I was watching the ozone video that you shared.
Yeah. And that's what makes this unique.
A little bit more about the third molecule of water. I thought that was really fascinating.
It's unbelievable. So I think you and I are really in agreement that nature does everything really so perfect. We look at, especially you looking out at this beautiful island and living and operating there. It's not so bad for me in Fort Lauderdale either, but I have to say the only mountains we have are landfills. You guys have beautiful. But ozone is what protects our planet, right? If you remember all the way back, we had a hole in our ozone layer, and that was the climate change that we were all worried about, and we fixed that. So ozone is O3, and what makes ozone such a powerful water purifier is the third oxygen molecule is what's known as a radical. and it will detach and oxidize, basically put a hole in any virus, any bacteria. It's just, it's so powerful. I mean, even, any restoration with water flooding, they use it for air as well. But it is the most, the biggest growth of ozone has been in pools and spas recently, because no one wants to use chlorine. Again, it's a chemical. And, interestingly enough, when Europe came over here to the United States for the Olympics, they said, we won't swim in your chlorinated pools. You either change everything to ozone or we're not swimming. So they were forced to do that. Yeah, because it's natural. Okay, right. It's a natural gas. It's something, if you're in a lightning storm, which you guys have had a lot down there recently, in Oahu, the weather has been rainy and stormy. But if electrical strike, it's just the electrical charge in oxygen, and that sweet smell is ozone. So the beautiful thing about it is it's natural. So I like to say we purify water with technology licensed from Mother Nature. And the other thing is after 20 minutes, it becomes oxygen O2. Okay, the third radical detaches and you're left with oxygen. So you look at our water and it almost looks carbonated, and it's not, CO2, it's oxygen. And so the only medical claim we make on that is it's going to go across your cell membranes easier, just the basis of osmosis. Again, the beautiful thing, and I love teaching kids, and that's one of the things that we were at Cool Elementary and stuff like that, is it's earth sciences, osmosis. If you have oxygen in water, it's going to cross the cell membrane easier. It's going to go from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So that's the exciting part. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're making water from air. It's pure. It's too good to be true." It's really basic science. Where if you take the time like you did to talk to me, I wasn't a solar person at this renewable energy, but you took time to really be interested to see how all this works together. So I really appreciate that and your vision.
Yeah, well, thank you. And then I think also, I know a lot of people talk about like minerals. Oh, well, they need minerals, but your machine also, you put minerals into the water, right? Isn't that true?
Correct. So we're starting with the purest water. And as I said, if there's no bacteria chemicals or PFAS chemicals or anything like that, there's no minerals in it either. So a lot of people don't like drinking distilled water. And again, there's some that want to, and there's some that don't. We say, hey, give the customer what they want. So we put a mineral filter on. So one of our filters is actually putting stuff into the water, and it's calcium and magnesium and some other minerals that are important. We can put whatever minerals that they want, but our standard is one that we manufacture with calcium, magnesium, and some other phosphates that are important. And what it does is it raises, so atmospheric water generation is an acidic water. It raises the pH, usually about 5.6 to a 6.2 for atmospheric water. So by us putting the mineral filters in, we raise it to about an 8.2 to an 8.5 alkaline water. So, and there are some, we deal with Hippocrates that they want to put their own minerals. They have, that their mixtures and stuff like that. So they don't want our mineral filter on. That's fine, but, we think it's important. That's our standard. We give the options on our website. And I love the mineral filter. I was just talking to the guys from New Use Energy and footprintproject.org. We just built a state-of-the-art disaster relief trailer. It just left last night, and we were doing a whole bunch of video. I think I talked to your associate about it, and I'd be sending it over to you. But he was like, "Your water's alive. You taste it, or you have it. Kids are so honest. They always choose our water." And I ask them, and the most common is, "It just tastes fresher." And that's it, I think that's the best thing that we can say.
That's really cute. And so, what is the vision? I mean, you've come so far. I know you make everything in America, not assembled, but manufacture, which is really important. What do you see the vision for the company in the next 5 years?
I just wrote a blog I try and write a blog and update everyone on our website, and I called it the perfect storm. And the education and the partnerships that we have with solar and just it's so energizing when you can see that you're working with people that have that same energy to help other people. I mean, our new use energy partners, the CEO Paul, he's Ukrainian, and he worked with some of the nonprofits that we're working with before we even knew of it. And you see doctors saying, I wouldn't have been able to help all these babies if I didn't have New Use's products. And again, I think that it's scary to think about how the growth can be if you can educate the right people and show that these technologies together give you such sustainability and resiliency. Everyone talks about sustainability, but as you know, going through the disasters, resiliency is the most important thing, because I'll say it all the time. We're dealing with, it's not a fossil fuel that's going to burn, and it's going to burn, and you know how much energy. We have to have sun. We have to have humidity. We have to have all these different things. I always like to say that, the great philosopher Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Well, if you're in a disaster, there's going to be one time or two times that you're going to be punched in the face. And how are you going to overcome that? So resiliency, sustainable is great, but resiliency means that you're going to get back up and you're going to fix it, and you're going to use the assets that you have with the people around you, and you're going to make it work. So I think that as this matures, because people call up, well, I want to run this and I want to run that on solar, and can I do it? Well, where do you live? How much sun do you, it's not as easy. We all want to get rid of fossil fuels, but realize you need an education in. You have to read. You can't just plug it into a grid. There are variables and there's testing. I was dealing with the engineer from New Use. He's totally off grid. And he said, everything works perfectly now, but it took me 20 years of adjusting. I had cold nights, so it's a learning process, and anything that's worthwhile takes an effort, right? And no one just gave you what you built and to be a published author and it took effort and it took time. No one gave you anything. And it's the same thing. You were resilient. We talk about sustainability, but let's talk about resiliency. Let's talk about, and so the team that's around you is so important. I think you can recognize that and see that as well with all the conferences you go to, all the people you interview, and what you write in your book about, marketing and how you don't know about it and the things you have to learn. You're educating people all the time. And doing it in a way that makes it easy for people to have access to. I mean, I said to you, I'm like, I don't, clicks and all of this. It's so easy for someone to get over on me because I'm building a company. I don't have time to do all of these things, but you break it down and you do a great job educating on that. So the resiliency of building a company takes all sorts of partners and someone like you. So, thank you so much for doing that and educating people on really what's important on that.
And I do. I think. Thank you for that. And I think it's very similar. That we talk about how to spot a fraud a lot, right? And I think it's also of how to assess your choices. Like, to come back to your point. So here there is a crisis, and now we have a donor, and they want to help, but are they helping in the right way, right?
Exactly.
And that's the kind of help we want, right? Yeah. And while it might seem like a good decision at the beginning, what it can turn out to be is poor decision making, because now, to your point, you have all these bottles, or you're now when the press is off of this crisis, well, where is the support then?
Exactly. People forget. People have a very short memory. I mean, some of the frustration of me, I mean, we're an atmospheric water generating company, but when there's a need, I'm sitting there delivering filters. And I actually had someone go, we don't want you to do that. You're doing I'm like, hold on, these people need water. Our machines, we have two machines down there. We now have 30 machines. It's not going to meet all the needs. Are you really serious? That's not what this is about. So it is. Again, after the disaster happens, everyone comes together. It comes back to, how do I make money? How do I break things down? And so your part, it does get frustrating. It does, because you're like, man, I just want to help, So there are things that again, being resilient, having the right people around you, having the fortitude to take the punches and the arrows. That's what it's all about, right?
I think it is. And I think another thing about, the consumer, what do they really know about water, the water they're drinking, and while we test for lead, there are so many other things that could be in the water. And, while I think energy is right on the forefront because your utility bill is going up so quick, people rarely talk about their water bill. What are your thoughts about where that's going?
Well, you look at Philadelphia right now. I mean, it's going through the roof, but you bring up such a great point. Do you realize that the EPA hasn't put a new chemical for standardized testing on their list for 20 years? They're all on 5 years. We're going to wait and see. I'll give you a perfect example. I was at the community at Kula Elementary for the Army Corps of Engineers, FEMA. Everyone was letting the people know about getting back in the houses. And there was a big debate going back and forth about all the air testing regarding the lithium, because, right, we have all these EV cars now and the fires burned it and lithium is in the air, and they weren't letting people back in the houses. Again, people are saying, you were right there. I want to get back in my house. Well, the lithium level is so, I knew the answer. So I raised my hand in the back and I said, by the way, what was the testing for lithium in the water? And they go, well, we don't test it for the water. And I go, why not? And they go, well, it's the EPA's responsibility. It's not on the standard list, so we don't have a structured testing. So I go, so it's in the air, it burned. But of course, all this stuff is going down into your aquifer, but you're not testing for lithium, right? So you're letting people go back in and not knowing how much lithium is in the water that you're drinking.
And so, but it's fascinating too, because I know, I did some work for a water company here years ago, and we learned that in Oahu, it takes about 8 years for rain to come from the top and then go through the volcanic and then go into the aquifer. And then on the Big Island, I think it took 10 years. So what is the impact then? I mean, will it filter out when it goes through the volcanic?
No, I mean,
probably not.
Not lithium. I mean, no. Lithium doesn't go. It's like the PFAS chemicals. They're forever chemicals. We focus on something that we know, lead. And lead is horrible because once it's your body, it never leaves. I mean, we saw that in Flint. But again, you can focus on one thing and ignore all the others. I mean, the fact that lithium was not even tested, and all those EVs burned in that fire. Again, they say, hey, the water's okay to drink. We don't have the lead. We don't have the 22 chemicals that the EPA gave us testing for, but what about the 72 that are, I think it's the UCA5 or something like that. And they just keep renewing it. They keep kicking the can down the road because it's going to take a lot of money if you notify that you can't have this high a level. It's going to take a lot of money from the government. And like you said, water's been free. When I grew up, I drank out of a water hose, but now we realize all the stuff that's happening, and we've spent no money reinvesting in our municipal infrastructure, and that's the scary part. And so you ask where we're going to be in 5 years when you're tapping from the atmosphere, you're having the purest water. It really, you can shower and everything else in the other, but when you're putting it, when it goes down your throat and into that body, you should be concerned about what you have, and you can't rely on government to tell you that it's safe. We have enough examples of that with Flint, and just what I just said here. Well, we didn't test for it. So hold on, it's in the air. You're not letting people back in because it's in the air. What about the water? We don't have a testing level, so we don't test for it.
It's such a false sense of security. I have a question for you. So can we run out of water?
can we run out of?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a great question. What are your podcast that like there's a same amount of waters in the on the earth?
We have the same amount as when the earth was formed.
Right.
Can we run out of safe drinking water? If you keep polluting that stuff, eventually, nature does a great job. Again, I started this whole interview with this, that nature does an incredible job of purifying itself. So even though all this bad stuff happens and when it goes up, it becomes purified. But, humans mess it up. So we're not going to run out of water. You look at the oceans, look at, the planet is 72% water, right? So the main question is, will we dilute and pollute that to a level that we don't have safe drinking water that we can put in our body based upon the number of people? I mean, go to Africa. They may have some water. It's water and sanitation are the issues. So their water has been contaminated over centuries. They don't have enough water. They should, but again, if you ignore it and you kick the can down the road, that's what happens.
Right. So what do you think is the biggest challenge facing the adoption of this new technology?
Education. And usually the things that must be overcome with a disruptive technology, right? I mean, the money didn't go into solar and the stuff didn't happen because why? You had these big conglomerate companies that made tons of money on fossil fuels, okay? My company is dealing with the Nestle's of the world who say, the CEO says it's not a human right to have pure water. We'll provide it for you. They go in and they drain the aquifers, but promising jobs and drain it for no money, okay, which forces the municipality to again have increased cost, and it's 0.00009 cents for 1,000 gallons of water, okay, and they're selling a liter for $2, and none of that money is going back to help the people that don't want to buy bottled water. So, we fight the Nestle's, the Cokes, the Pepsis. So any disruptive technology, you ask the question, you've seen it. You've gone through it. You guys had to fight fossil fuels. It was until, with solar, it was until a person made a cool car that wasn't about a electric car. It was about the battery and the storage. And then,
anything in the IRA, the IRA, or is there any like tax credit incentive that, or is there any, now that's
I mean, so call your senator, call your congressman. There is $5.8 billion that right now is being released to the states from the Build Back Better program. Okay, $5.8 billion. It's being released from the federal governments to the states. Why wouldn't you have a 30% like solar, tax credit for atmospheric water generators so people could? So absolutely, let's get the word out on that. That's part of what needs to happen. What happened in the industry that you basically cover, and I love that you love to see that the water and the solar go hand in hand.
It's so biter,
Yeah, absolutely. So that is one of the things that I stress. I ask people to join us on our website as a water warrior, so we can give out the number one, some of that of what to call your congressman, but also some of that is cleanups here, beach cleanups here, river cleanups here. Let people know how they can get involved, because listen, we individually, I'm sitting here in Florida, you're sitting in Hawaii. We can do the best we can, but we can't change the world. But what we can do is change our community around us. And when that has legs and that bears fruit, that grows to change the world. So let's not focus on all of that. Let's focus about our community. Let's get out there and say to our representatives who need our vote to get in there. I think we forget that sometimes. They need our vote. It's crazy the way politics has gone. I'm not even going to get into that, but be active. Don't just complain about it. The mouth that complains about 50 things that they don't like prevents defeat from changing one of them, right? So go out there, be active, stop complaining about it, do something about it. Call them up. Call them up. Why aren't we getting credits for producing our own water? We're taking stress off of the municipal system that you've got to rebuild and put money in. If all of us do this, we're going to take the stress out of drinking water and give you time to raise the rates adequately, or take some more of the money, that the $5.8 billion, and start working on the system. But why do we get it for energy and not for water?
Right, and then there's so many other things they can use that water for, like, watering plants, and,
The whole agriculture, we get into ozone, and how ozone water is great for hydroponics, and how so like you said, you asked where we could be in the next 5 years. There's so many benefits. That's a whole nother podcast that we would have fun with. But you asked absolutely the right question.
And then, so where is the partnership? Where do you see the alignment with solar? For a homeowner, I know in commercial, but how can it? What do you see as a way to create?
It's unbelievable. I'm wondering why when we don't a bundle. So before I know I got on a little late. I was on with my website. So we had announced a partnership with New Use Energy through introductions from footprintproject.org, Will and Jamie, who you met down at the conferences. Just such a fabulous nonprofit that has been providing solar trailers since Katrina and Puerto Rico. And I met them in Maui before we got down there. And why not bundling these things? So we just became that. We've already done 2 installations with people who own our T12s or our home and office unit that said, this makes sense. Let's couple this together. And it's growing, and then building this trailer where 10 hours based on the storage, we can run our T100 that can make 186 gallons in a 24-hour period, and then have the solar on the roof and the wings, and then solar tents, so people, when they're getting the water, are covered with solar, and that's feeding during the day. So at night we can run it without any sunlight. So we were taping on it, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, wow, it all comes together. And again, when you have like-minded people, that sure, we have to make money in order to do what we do. I can't fly to Hawaii and say, well, hold on, I'm going to help, so I don't have to pay for my ticket, right? It's okay to do good and do well at the same time. And I think that's as long as you're taking what the people are giving you and reinvesting in the community, then the growth is expansive. And then you're really talking about resiliency and a power that will just continue.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, very exciting. So this is just a kind of one question that I like to ask everyone that's a little off topic is, it's really, about, have you experienced personally any digital fraud? And do you have any tips for the viewers on how to pick a partner?
I mean, the best thing was your education on it. I mean, after you learned about my technology at this conference, and I was basically crying and whining to you. It's just like, it's so hard. It really is. I mean, because, we're running and focusing on our product, and we know we got to get the message out there. And is it clicks people can promise you clicks, but they can have, 3,000 people that are sitting there clicking it that are never interested in buying it.
Lots,
right. We're interested in people who really are interested in our product. I mean, so have I experienced it? Absolutely. It's one of the things that I loved about your book, that you break things down and say, if they're promising you this, look at it. These are the areas these are the lines, because let's face it, they use the same lines because it's worked on people. Okay. So So the fact that you actually wrote something and broke it down to say, watch out for this, that's important. So yeah, I mean, any emerging growth disrupting technology company that says that they haven't is embarrassed to admit it. But, it's just like, how many people have gone to an auto mechanic and know that they pay too much or something? Look, we all don't know how to fix our car. We're busy. You're busy marketing. I'm busy doing atmospheric water generators. And there are people out there, everything, the internet is a great thing, but can be used for horrible things. It's the same thing in each industry. You have good players and you have bad players. You have greenwashers. You have people who really care about resiliency and sustainability. So I give you a lot of credit from taking time away from building your business and to educate people with what you did with your book. So that's awesome. And it's why I always enjoy talking with you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being on today. To learn more about Altitude Water, please visit altdwater.com. And to connect with Jeff, you can visit him on LinkedIn. Additional content will be provided on the Covert Code, including a podcast with Nancy Perlman that Jeff recently did, as well as some other educational materials. We'll see you next week on the Covert Code.